Okay. All right. Well, I am just beyond blessed to be sharing
Mhm.
space with my guest this afternoon. He has got an incredible story. As you all know, I typically have a great little pre chat before the show. This one was no different. And so I really want to just hit record and get right into this puppy. I want to have my guest share rather his bio, sort of how he got from there to here. And that'll really be a great jumping off point, I think, for you and I to just share some space this afternoon and talk about things that really, really matter. That seems to have been a real key point of our conversations, however short they have
Yes,
been up
yes.
until now, but just
Mhm.
they really matter. And I remember thinking on our last conversation when we were just
Yeah.
getting to know each other, I was like, we
Uh-huh.
should hit record already because there were some good nuggets in there. Anyway,
Yes, yes.
without further ado, let us know who you are. I would love to hear that from your words.
Okay, well, I'm Damon the Real Nailer to all of your audience there. And I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, in the USA, but I now live in a place called Monroe, Louisiana, USA. And what happened, came to where I am to attend college. And so I got my degree in elementary education. I taught for 7 years, really loved it. But by the end of my teaching tenure, my passion and desire for teaching began to dwindle. And I would say not just teaching overall, but in that capacity in the classroom. I kind of felt confined and limited. Didn't realize that I had the entrepreneur in me. And what ended up happening at that 7th year, I launched out to pursue entrepreneurship, namely motivational speaking, writing, and also music production. And I was doing that for a nice season. Things were going really well. I had just released the CD. Doors were opening, but then after a while, things kind of began to dry up. And it was at that moment when I pivoted and with a partner started a janitorial service. And I basically did that when I say to a T 12 years. I started February 1st of '06 and I ended February 1st of 2018. And what I did then was transition into my current career, which is that of a parent educator working with a nonprofit organization. But I'm still also doing the music production, the writing and speaking, and I'm also a consultant. So that kind of wraps up the professional side. Personally, I'm married, going on this year will make 24 years, and I have four wonderful, amazing sons. My oldest, he's 22, and then, well, he's about to make 22 next Wednesday. And then I have a 18-year-old, 17-year-old, and my youngest is 13. So, like I said, that's basically me, kind of the shortened version of the life.
The shortened version. Well, and certainly, you and I had got connected through a mutual friend, and isn't that the
Yes,
wonderful power of the referral? And hey, you need to know
yes,
so and so, and
yes.
that started because I have the Create the Ripple magazine, which is
Mhm.
really a platform
Yes.
to connect people, to share with people. People say, what's the point behind it? And I said to add value, and to create a platform for intentional referral community. And for so many
Yes.
people that it's lost, but then I get on conversations like this, and I think, oh, this is like the magic. Like
Yes.
this is awesome that I get to hold
Yes.
space with you today and share. So
Yeah.
you and I were talking before I hit record on this that
Mhm.
you had the janitorial business, and you talked
Mhm.
about the four things
Yes.
that really sort of add value, make such an impact.
Mhm.
Because for a lot of us entrepreneurs, especially when we're transitioning, I mean, I've got three different things on the go. They pay in various forms,
Yes.
various amounts. And we
Mhm.
were talking about how, as entrepreneurs, we're always into
Mhm.
things, we're trying new things. I think it drives our,
Yes.
job-minded people
Mhm.
a little bit crazy.
Crazy. Yes.
They're like, "You're doing what now?" And I'm like, "I know. Last week I was doing this, and then this door
Yeah.
opened, and I jumped into it because it's perfect." So I would just love it if you could sort of share that because I think there was such a great nugget, and I don't want
Yes.
our listeners to miss out on that.
Well, definitely. And it's a part of my program and my platform of me helping people to discover what I call the dominant gift. And there are four questions that I tell everyone to ask yourself. And the first one is, what am I skilled at or good at doing? And that can be categorized under skill. And you want to ask yourself that question first, and you want to be brutally honest as well as objective. The second question is, what do I like doing? So that would be categorized under passion. Notice I put what are you skilled at doing before what are you passionate about doing. sometimes people are passionate about things, but they're not skilled at it. And I
Sure.
promise you,
Yes.
yes, the example I always use is American Idol, okay? The
Yes.
voice. They're passionate. I mean, the passion is evident, it's emanating, it's coming forth,
Yeah.
but the skill is So you say, what am I skilled at first? Then what am I passionate about? The third question is, what do I do that has a positive impact on others? It's effective. In essence, you will know this because of people's compliments and comments.
Mhm.
Now, even when you're first starting off, it's that you'll have that raw talent, because all of us have a raw talent, and it must be transitioned into a profitable talent.
Mhm.
But even when you first start, you can see the potential there. And
Mhm.
eventually, as you use that gift and you operate in that capacity, you'll get better and better. But you'll begin to get those compliments. They'll begin to say, "Oh, I love when you do that. When you're going to, put out another magazine issue, when you're going to do another show, when you're going to write another book, whatever it is you're doing, people will begin to embrace it and love it." And then the fourth question is, what can you do without receiving monetary compensation and still feel fulfilled and contented? And if you can find something where you can put it in each of those categories, answers all four of the questions, more than likely you've discovered what I call your dominant gift. Because there'll be seasons, as we were discussing earlier, when if I were to utilize myself with the janitorial business, yes, I was skilled at doing it, but I wasn't passionate about doing it. Yeah.
Yep.
I was effective because I had all kinds of contracts. It sustained me for 12 years. But as I stated also, I was not doing it for free. You were going to pay me if I did any cleaning, regardless of who you were. And that's why I'm saying with my dominant gift is in the area of communication. And when
Mhm.
with my program, I analyze there are 6 regions on our body, whereas you can find every gift known to mankind. And I always give this region away, which is the mouth gifts. And that's my dominant gift or my area of expertise, dealing with communication, whether it's writing, performing, speaking, anything that uses that area, then I'm going to excel in automatically by default. But
That's
yes.
awesome.
No.
I know that was certainly the case for you and I. And, you and I were instantly talking about some tough issues because, of course, the last issue of the
Yes.
magazine that you wrote for, thank you for that, was
Yes.
all about
Yes.
men's issues that matter to men. And it was important for us to, touch on some of those subjects. One, because
Mhm.
I'm passionate about understanding the differences
Yes.
between genders. And that's such
Mhm.
an interesting play for me when I start reading that of why we are the way we are, how we're shaped, right? Mom's
Mhm.
issues, daddy's issues, the effect that has on the kids. And
Mhm.
you and I got to hold some great space, as I've been navigating through the challenging stuff of divorce. I mean, that
Mhm.
is, I don't wish that on
Yeah.
anybody,
I
right?
know. I
It's
know. Yeah.
challenging
Mhm.
regardless of how it goes. And you offered, there are very few people, I
Mhm.
think, who tell the truth the way you did. There was at one point in our original conversation where I said, I'm like, I wish this would happen. And you were like, well, I was like, I'm about to get some truth here right now. And it was. And you're like, that's
Definitely.
probably not going to happen. Just
Yes.
no. And I was like, oh, and I was like ripping the band aid off. But I really appreciated it because you didn't say
Yes.
what most people say, which is, well, maybe that'll happen. Maybe,
Yes.
this will come around. Maybe this will change. And I was
Mhm.
like, I like this guy. And, I mean, the title of the
Yes.
podcast is Create a Ripple, but it's, to trust the niggle and tell the truth. And the niggle is that annoying feeling that doesn't go
Mhm.
away, that I should be doing something, or there's more I could have
Yes.
done, or,
Mhm.
sometimes it's something you should have said that
Mhm.
you didn't
Yeah.
say. And then you're like, next time I'll say that. And
Mhm.
then telling the truth has to
Mhm.
start first with ourselves, right? Which I love that you said, be
Yeah.
brutally honest.
Brutally honest.
If you're good at it. And
Mhm.
I know that I am very good at
Mhm.
very few things. And those
Okay.
things I just want to do. I do them, like you say, without thinking about it. I do it
Yes.
without pay. I do it all the time
Mhm.
and think I should have asked for pay for doing that. But I had too much
Yeah.
fun just doing it. But
Yes.
how much, that plays into
Mhm.
this whole thing that you're talking about. Now, you get to do incredible day job work, which I
Yes.
didn't realize until we started chatting earlier, that you
Yes.
work with to reunite families, which
Yes.
that's
Mhm.
huge. Tell me about that.
Yes, well, I serve as a parent educator with a local nonprofit organization called the Children's Coalition. And what happens when parents lose their children, lose custody of their children to the state, they get referred to us for mandated parenting. And we have, like I was telling you earlier, it's kind of a short program. It lasts about 3 weeks. And then we have a long one that lasts 16 weeks, 4 months. And during that time, it's just amazing to witness the transformation in these parents' lives. And as I was mentioning earlier, a lot of them come and they have mental health issues or issues with substance misuse. But to witness their change, their shift, their paradigm shift, and their lives just, turning around, doing that 180 after us providing that nurturing care, that encouragement, and that inspiration, and just being there for them, letting them know you can do this. You can be a great parent. You may have made mistakes, but we're going to move forward from here. We're not going to look back. It happened. It's reality. Okay, no problem. Let's go for it. Let's fix it from here. Let's manage and do what we can to move forward. But it's such a rewarding career, and I'm able to use my talents, my strongest talents. And so that's what makes it really beneficial and a blessing to be able to do that, because I'm all about personal development, self-help, and just helping people to go from one place to another, to really progress from one level to another level, and to witness that consistently, to really hear the testimonies of the people at the end of the program. Because at the end of the long session, we have basically a graduation where we just celebrate them and we have a big hoorah.
That's
And
cool.
we ask them, yes, and we ask them to tell us, what did you gain from the program? And to really hear their stories, you'll be in tears. For them to say, when I came, I thought you guys were going to judge me, you were going to be harsh and critical. But it was the total opposite. You loved me, you cared for me, you encouraged me, you got on to me when you needed to. And here I finished that program. I didn't think I was going to be able to do 16 whole weeks. But I tell you, at the end of the program, just yesterday, we do home visits, and I went to visit one of my clients. And the individual said, I have so much fun. I enjoy the class. I don't know what I'm going to do once class ends. And that person is not the first person to say that. It creates like just this meaning and this purpose, them coming that once a week and then having that engagement with us throughout that 16 weeks. It just makes such a tremendous difference. So yes.
Well, especially with parenting. I mean, parenting is
Yes.
it is not for the faint of heart. I love being a mom. I want to add more to the family. That is definitely something on my heart. But I often tease that I'm like, I think the person who told me, have kids, it'll be fun, was definitely a grandparent type, right? They're like, oh, kids, they said it'll be fun. They said, right? Like none of the kids don't come with a manual, and how much more so if the individuals don't grow up with a great role model, or I read the book by Eric Fromm. The Art of Loving, which talks about when do we learn how to love. A few of us are shown a great example of love, but this is an interesting thing where we grow up, we have ideas about love. Not everybody has the same ideas about love, and we go to school to study things, to be good at something, to increase our skill set. But with love, we basically jump in and then wonder why we're bad at it. It's like, let's just jump into the deep end of the pool and see how well we swim. So I think about that too with parenting, that I'm like, you know what, it really does take a tribe, and it really does take a community. Like you guys are creating there with that program. It's a community. It's a place to lay down arms, not be judged for it, and say, hey, I think I need some help. And once you learn some of those coping skills and strategies, how cool is that? They were able to give it to people. You do consulting. Tell me more about that.
Well, with my consulting, I'm currently working with a company called Intuitive Synergies, IS, and we're working with the state of Indiana to basically help change the system or create a regional system, whereas we deal with mental health and substance misuse, basically the same things I'm dealing with the parenting,
Yep.
but
Yep.
just trying to create a system whereas all of the Indiana residents have access and ability to get all of the treatment and the information they need concerning how to address their mental health and substance misuse. And like I said, doing that and then doing my personal coaching with my different programs and working with different people one-on-one with their personal development and self-help. So yeah, like I say, we're just doing a whole bunch with the coaching and the consulting. So, but yes.
What I really love about your story is
Mm-hmm.
how, and I think it's by design. I think
Mm-hmm.
if based on the way that you speak about this with intention, so I want to turn that down,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
that you really come at it from a place of integrity, which I
Correct.
think is exceptionally unique. And you and I are sharing that
Yes.
before the call,
Yes.
that
Yes.
when you can create integrity, even if you have to, work the day job while you're
Yes.
building your passion,
Mm-hmm.
that when there can be that integrity, then you don't feel like you're out of integrity with yourself. I think that is what drains so many people when they think about
Yes.
starting something, is
Mm-hmm.
that they're not doing of those four things. And sometimes they're so far divorced from those four things that
Yes.
it just drains. And I know that was definitely true for myself as I was
Mm-hmm.
doing what I thought I needed to be doing, what I was being encouraged by very well-meaning individuals to be doing.
Yes. Yes.
But it was definitely not here. And it was very interesting when I started to say, actually, I don't love that. I know I've done that for years and I'm very
Mm-hmm.
skilled at it, but I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. And I don't want to be known as that. And so the answer is no, that was, I think, more challenging for other people than it was for me. I was like, no,
Yeah.
I never really loved this, but I was always good at it. Right. So,
Yes.
I
Yes.
had skill in it. Was I
Mm-hmm.
passionate about it? Nope.
No.
The opposite
Exactly.
was true. And
Yeah.
what a relief it was when I started to just go, well, if I'm not going to do this, I'll go and
Mm-hmm.
do this. Because even though
Yes.
it was like one step closer to that integrity, how
Mm-hmm.
important do you think that is for people when they're like you had said, just go after
Mm-hmm.
your passion in some way, right? That means
Yes.
so much life to you.
Yes.
Um, just getting that integrity piece sorted.
Well, what happens is all about accurate alignment. Whereas, like we say with the four questions, everything aligns. But like I was talking earlier and mentioned it, there may be a season or seasons in your life where you kind of have to do something that you're not as passionate about, but you need the money, you need the income. But yeah, I'm serious. And so it's during those seasons you have to just get the mind frame and get the vision, see
Mhm.
the big picture that, okay, I'm still going after my huge dream, my huge vision. But this, I always say, it's a state and not your fate. In essence, this is not the final destination. This is not your fate, but this is just a state, a phase and a part of your huge journey. And if you can condition yourself to believe that and to live by that, then it will still motivate you during those times when you're doing something that you might not be very passionate about, but it's paying the bills. Like I say, you have the skill, but it's like, man, you're not just getting up saying, yeah, I want to go do this.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to take a few extra trips around the block. Sometimes we get to work, you have to sit in your car and like, so.
Hey, it's Candice. I hope you're really enjoying the show. I know I certainly am. I want to give a big shout out to one of the products that I absolutely love using. So this is 36-year-old skin, and I am in love with it. Yes, I am wearing a teeny tiny bit of foundation. I'm wearing a little bit of eyeshadow, but in general, I want to go like really, really close. This is my skin. Phenomenal, right? So I recently started using a product called BioCell. BioCell is liquid collagen. Now, there's a lot of buzz about collagen right now, but you want to find one that mirrors closest the human kind of collagen. I was super impressed with this particular collagen. This is made with only the sternums of chickens. So that's the, the sternum bone of chickens in a place that has already ethically and humanely taken care of these chickens. And so we're basically using a part of the chicken that would normally just disappear and be used for other things. I have not got into the collagen world before now, mostly because I know that a lot of the collagens out there, especially the powdered collagen, they have things like cow hooves and pig hooves and noses, and I just wasn't interested in putting that sort of thing in my body. I do try to live a more plant-based lifestyle. This is one of the few products that I allow to have animal in it, but I absolutely love it. I'm also really impressed with the company behind it. They're a values-driven company, and if you know from watching any of my shows, values matter to me. They've got a number of values. One, to be disruptive in the industry, and you know me, I like to be a little bit irreverent and go against the grain once in a while. I also really love that one of their values is humility and compassion, because those are huge and important to me. So if you're looking for a place to spend your money, and no, it's not an arm and a leg, no, it's not an MLM, this is affiliate marketing, which means if you did decide to purchase this product, yes, I would in fact get a small commission, which has nothing to do with your products or your purchase or the price point on the product, to be honest with you. It is simply 10 to 36% for me, depending on how many of this awesome product that I get a chance to move. Also, I'm paid daily, which I think is pretty amazing. So if you're somebody who's looking for some collagen and you just want to be our customer, I have got a $10 code. Drop a link or a comment below, or feel free to message me and I will share with you my link so that you can get $10 off of your first order. If you are somebody who's thinking, hey, I would like to get some product and also like to break into the affiliate game, that's a passion for me. I love teaching women and men, but mostly women, how to master the affiliate game. Once you learn how to do it with one company, you can do it with anything else. So I hope that you're enjoying the show, and without any further ado, back to the show. I've laughed about it and said, I think I should write a book about my life and it'd be called Detours, because the number of times I was on path, and then sometimes, if you're like me, I have an interest in everything. I think life is interesting. And so sometimes I'm detoured, and then I've come back 4 years later and I'm moving onto the same street or back into the same house, and I think, well, that was a great detour. What did I learn? Did I learn anything?
Yeah.
Because once I learned something, then it was probably okay.
And I love that concept. Detours. I love that.
Of course, right? The other one needs to be rubber ducky in my purse, because the number, trying to be the businesswoman. It's interesting. When I had my daughter, I worked pretty much right up to when I had her. I mean, I'm passionate about what I was doing at the time and got a lot of enjoyment out of it. But I remember waking up the day after she was born and feeling tired and all of those overwhelmed things and everything else that a new parent feels, but also a little bit surprised that I still wanted to accomplish all of my dreams. And I thought that maybe there'd be some magical motherhood switch that would happen. No, that wasn't actually the case. I was actually still myself the day after. But now I was like, now I've added one more hat. Now I'm, parent. Wow. Okay. And I've been thinking a lot about that recently, right? Because you meet your person and the work continues. You become a parent and the work continues. We just sort of continue to transition through these things, but that thing that you want to do doesn't really go away, and then it just becomes about balancing it so that you can continue to pursue those things.
Yes, well, your vision often is divinely inspired, and you were created with it. It's in there. And the advantage, I guess, we have as entrepreneurs is that we have the boldness and confidence to go after it. Everybody has it, but they just, the fear, the complacency, the comfort of, say, for instance, that regular 9 to 5 that they may hate. They know they want to do these other things, but it's just that fear of rejection, fear of failure, those things cripple them. But as you're stating, with us who embrace that vision, it stays with us regardless of the places and the detours, as you stated, that we have to make. Initially, I thought the janitorial business was a detour, and most people thought, they were just like, man, what is he doing? You're too talented. You're doing cleaning up. What's going on? Yeah. But, after looking at it, analyzing, and just receiving some divine insight, I realized how important that state and that phase of my journey was because as a business owner, I employed, I had employees. And that was another component or another element that is essential and important for me now. It also helped with my organizational skills, took that to another level. And
Mhm.
if you take away the janitorial phase, like I told somebody I mentioned in my book, you take away a lot of the nuggets of wisdom and insight, the profound insight that I received during that phase. You don't even get it in the book because I wouldn't have that experience. And I was just telling someone, just imagine if I was a teacher all of these years now, I would be about to retire actually if I would have stayed in the educational field,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't have all of this insight
Mhm.
because I would just be a teacher, just that same deal all of this time. And no, not downplaying or diminishing the importance of teachers. We love you, we need you. But I'm
Mhm.
just saying, just doing that one career, I wouldn't have all of these insights and experience because of just doing those different things. And I think one of the most critical characteristics an entrepreneur has to possess is flexibility.
Ooh, yes.
Flexibility. That's what enables us to juggle and wear the different hats. Being
Yes.
flexible. Yes, and
Mhm.
making it work.
I think we are adept at solution finding. There's MacGyver who
Yes.
can get himself out of situations. I think that's an entrepreneur. We're like, well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
what?
yeah. Like you say, but we just keep it moving. We keep it moving, and I always tell people the word no. I got the revelation through all of my rejections. It means three things to me now. It means new opportunity, next option, not over. So
Mhm.
whenever I encounter a no, that means, hey, it's time to look for the new opportunity, move on to the next option because it's not over. And if you can just condition yourself, gain that perspective, then every time you receive rejection, that should kick in. And you're looking for the new opportunity, the next option, because it's not over. As you do that, you just keep on, keep on, keep on, and you just don't stop. And
Yeah.
that's really what causes you to fulfill your dream is
Mhm.
the persistence, you
Yes.
know? Yeah, persistence.
I was telling this to a couple of gals last night, actually. I said, a
Mhm.
lot of people run into a wall and they're like flies. They just keep running into the window. And
Yeah.
I'm like, stop, take a look.
Yes.
You might have to look for the window. It's probably open. And if it isn't
Yeah.
open, there's probably a door. But
Mhm.
most people are like, but I really wanted it to be this. And I'm like, I know, but it's not. So the faster you stop and look for
Yes.
the window or the door, it's
Mhm.
probably open. And I think
Yes.
that that's another entrepreneur thing, right? We pivot, we transition.
Yes.
I know that even with what's going on with the world, I was doing
Mhm.
something not entirely different, but it's different than what I'm doing
Yes.
now. And as I
Mhm.
realized that, I'm like, things are changing.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then a lot of us just transitioned. We leaned back on things that we knew had worked.
Mhm.
You start to tighten up the purse strings in certain places and
Yes.
spaces. I think
Mhm.
the biggest gift for me over the last year, as the
Mhm.
world, has gone through what it's gone through, is I realized what's important and what's not important.
Yes.
I've actually listened twice now to the book Essentialism by Greg, I think it is, or something like that. Anyway, I'll put a link
Mhm.
somewhere for people if they want to check that out. But
Okay.
uh, essentialism is literally asking what's important now.
Mm.
And
Love it.
that's really interesting because it forces you to establish boundaries. Boundaries are those things you need in place before you need them.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, you only realize you need them usually after you need them. So,
Yes.
and then you have to reinforce and, push
Mhm.
back a little bit. But starting to ask yourself, like, is this the most important thing? I have a to-do list. Those are the things I've
Yes.
got to do. I don't necessarily get paid to do them, but you
Mhm.
need clean laundry. So you got to do laundry.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
I've
Yes.
got the to accomplish list. And that's the
Mhm.
list that, if I do these things within this next year, within this next month, within this next day, is
Mhm.
actually going to move my life forward. And so those
Gotcha.
are the ones that you can't compromise on, or how do you figure out how to do laundry and make sure that you're getting those things done, and switching those things up,
Yes.
certainly within the last year, has had a
Mhm.
huge impact because it was easy to say, can't do it, not
Mhm.
right now. I've got a
Yes.
different idea going on. And I mean, that's why you and I are here, um,
Yes.
talking, because I said a few no's and then went
Yes.
well, nature better, fill that
Yeah,
void because I'm an
yeah.
entrepreneur. I'm going to go looking for
Do
something.
something, yeah.
Fill out.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree with you. And what I share with people, I shared, especially in my book, I talk about this, but that falls under the category of discipline. So what
Mhm.
I define discipline is, first of all, it's the ability to stop doing things that are detrimental to your success and
Mhm.
start doing things that are beneficial but consistently. But at the same time, discipline also is being able to do the things that you don't want to do but have to do. And when the more discipline we lack, as you stated, we're just constantly saying, well, I can't do it. Okay, it needs to be done. It's a must, but I just can't do it. But and so that discipline rises up and says, look, I know you don't want to. I know you don't enjoy this. This is not your dominant gift or part of your skill set that you love, but it has to get done.
Mhm.
And I'm a fitness guy. I go to the gym basically 5 and sometimes 6 times a week. And that is the key to it.
Mhm.
I tell people it's all about getting it into your heart or your spirit and really from your mind, because the mind is the battleground. But what happens each day when I wake up and when especially when I'm getting off work, because that's when I go to the gym, it's
Mhm.
not a question of whether I'm going to the gym or not. I'm going to the gym. The only way I'm not going is if I'm too sick. Okay,
Mhm.
if I'm tired, that doesn't matter. If I just don't feel like it, that doesn't matter, because I program myself and I have the discipline that is the goal and that's what I'm doing. And we have to get to that place where we're beyond feelings and we're actually beyond thinking, but we've controlled ourselves and we've disciplined ourselves enough to whereas we're doing it, whether we feel like it, want to or not, it's getting done. And that's what makes the difference in me being able to, be in tip top shape. I'm in the best health. I'm having the best health and enjoying the best health of my life. But it's all about, it took me making that commitment,
Mhm.
because most people, they start off in the gym, they might do a few weeks, even a few months.
Yep.
But then all of a sudden it's like, look, I'm tired. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it.
Yep.
And then but the thing is, once you stop, it's so much harder to come back. That's what I always teach people. It's like you have to start all over. And that's where it becomes taxing and it's really challenging. But
Yes.
if you get to the place of where I'm going regardless and you just constantly do it, your body gets to a place to where it's so used to working out to where when you don't, you feel funny. And that's the
Mm.
that's the whole point of it. Get into that place of where it's so conditioned where your body's like, you better get me to the gym. We
Yes.
hadn't been in a few days. You start feeling sluggish, you start feeling heavier, and it's
Yep.
like, get me to the gym. But it's all about being consistent enough
Mhm.
that you get to that place. But many people don't get to that place. So,
No, they don't. And I remember when I used to, go to the gym all the time, and I used to
yeah,
dread January because
yes.
the gym would be full. And
Before,
I gotta wait for the week or two for everybody to quit and then go home. And I was like, that's awful. And I'm like, I
I
know,
know.
but these people are taking up like my space, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Oh, look, you feel, yeah, yes.
And discipline is one of those things that I think is really fun. My dad
Yes.
taught me years ago. I was a
Mhm,
homeschool kid, and so there was certainly some hurdles in terms of getting into university and stuff like that.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
his attitude was treat it like a game. Because if it's a
Mhm,
game, then you're gonna go out there and not have a bad attitude about it. You're gonna be like, okay, so what are the hoops I gotta jump through? And what am I
yes.
gonna do? And then make
Mhm,
that a game and then just play it one better, which has been
mhm.
great advice for most of my life. So typically now when I get a no or that rejection, I'm like, okay, is this a window or a door? Or,
Good.
is this a
Mhm.
rule that can be bent? Is
Yes.
this because some of those rules, and I'm not saying like rules that are good for us, but some rules
Yes.
are very arbitrary. And I'm like,
Yes.
why is this a rule?
Yeah.
And is it
Yeah.
good for us? And anyway,
Mhm.
that's an interesting thing. But I liked what you were talking about discipline because one of my favorite pastimes that I discovered
Mhm.
last summer,
Okay.
2020, was backcountry camping, where you
Okay.
put everything you're gonna need for 2, 3, 4 days on
Okay.
your back and you disappear, 20 or
Wow.
30 or more kilometers. It's so much fun. I don't know what to do
Okay.
now, but it's a ways. You
Okay.
disappear.
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
and that's commitment and that's persistence. And I
Yes.
really enjoyed it because you start off and you feel great, you've
Mhm.
had your little granola bar and it's good. And then at
Yeah.
some point, you're going to be like, I'm done. But
It's time to go back.
problem is you know that it's just, you're not where you wanted to be yet. You haven't seen the
Yes.
waterfall, you haven't seen the mountain, it's going to be
Hmm.
amazing when you get there.
Hmm.
And so you think, well, yeah, but now I got to walk 7K back. And that would suck because if I walk 7 more K, I'm going to be where I want to be,
Wanna
which is,
be.
so then you're
Yeah.
like, right. And then,
Yes.
every step massages the soul. That's what we tell ourselves, right? Like, this is
Yes.
good. And I
Yes.
remember
Mm-hmm.
thinking, if I ever do retreats,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to take couples to Mexico because that's
Gotcha.
that's easy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think what we'll do is we're going to put backpacks on and we're going to walk a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
We
Yes.
sleep in the cold and
Yes.
cook
Yes.
food together and figure stuff out. Because I tell
Yes.
you,
Mhm.
that was probably some of the best therapy that I've ever
Okay.
done because you
Yeah.
can't connect to your cell phone and you're saving the
Mm-hmm.
battery power. And so you're really kind of left with just you
Yes.
and what have
Yes.
I got in the tank? And just like I found when I was bringing my baby into the world, is that I felt like
Mm-hmm.
I hit the end of there's nothing left. I don't got anything
Gotcha.
more.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment of surrender, I
Mm-hmm.
discovered, no, actually, there's still a lot
A
left in the
lot more
tank. I don't
time.
even know where that's
Yeah.
coming from. And
Yes.
that's been true in my
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurial career, right? I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, well,
Yes.
there's a solution, right? That
Mm-hmm.
giving up point, that surrendering to creates an
Yes.
allowing for. And then it's really interesting to see
Mm-hmm.
I wish more people could experience that. Like, I don't wish hardship or
Of
hard,
course.
long
Yeah.
walks on people,
Mm-hmm.
but there's
Yeah.
something magical when you come out and you're like, I just did that. I did that.
Yes.
Right? What else can I accomplish?
Yes, yes. And what it does, I love it. What it does, it increases your confidence. And
Mhm.
when once your confidence builds, it creates momentum.
Yep.
And like you said, you're what happens is like it's a stepping stone and it's building your track record. And you get that momentum, and the next thing you know, you're accomplishing this, you're accomplishing that, you're accomplishing the other. But it's because of that mindset you have developed now. You're becoming a champion. And
Yeah.
champions know they're going to face oppositions. Champions know they're going to lose. But at the end, we're going to have more wins than losses.
Yeah.
And I think that's another part of that entrepreneurial mindset, knowing that we're going to lose, we're going to fail, but at the end, we're going to succeed. And that's what we're looking forward to. It's like with sales, you're not concerned about the rejections and the no's. You're just looking for that one yes.
One
Yeah.
yes.
One.
One. And then when you get it, you're like, yeah.
Yes, I
Another
can
one.
do this.
One all. Are you looking for a simple, easy weight management solution? I thought you might be. I know I was. I also wasn't interested in something with a ton of gimmick without any science behind it, which I know a ton of companies have. The company I'm about to share with you actually has 12 of their own clinical studies. And for me, with my science-based background, I needed to know that. I also needed to know the product worked. And so I was introduced to the group that however had 125,000 members in it, all supporting amazing stories of weight management, weight loss, hair regrowth. Oh my gosh. Not surprising though, considering the product itself has won numerous awards in and out of the nutraceutical industry, which I think is pretty incredible. Pretty exciting as well is the fact that it's made with their patented technology, 7 international patents on the collagen in this product, made entirely from chicken sternum. Chicken sternum, why? Because it most closely mimics the collagen that our own bodies create. Now, I'm a 36-plus-year-old woman, and so making sure that I'm maintaining and taking care of and trying to reverse the clock so I can age gracefully is super important to me. Making sure I'm taking products that are safe, making sure I'm taking products that are approved, and making sure I'm taking products that I would be happy to share because there's integrity at the top. So this company is a values-based company, which I absolutely love. Not only do I love that, but I love the flavors. This is mango. Mango's my favorite. This is from the Modera company, which you've heard me talk about before. 1 simple spoonful a day. In the morning, I can add it to my coffee if I feel like it. I don't add the mango, I add the vanilla to my coffee. But I can add a simple spoonful to my day. It tastes awesome. It tastes amazing. And it's helping my body to maintain the figure that I've worked to get to. Why not? Now, if you're looking for some weight management, this is going to help curb appetite. It's going to help your body to function as best. And we know that when you do something like that and you make wiser choices, your body says thank you. This is part of an entire system called the Lean Body System. I will make sure to post information for that below, or you're welcome to scan the QR code, which I know is going to be somewhere in the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. If not, head over to modere.ca. That's MODERE, modere.ca, or modere.com, and use code 5579027. Again, 5579027 to save $10 on your next order, regardless of what you put in your cart. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of the listen. Yeah, no, it's so
Yeah.
true. And I think my experience, in sales, I love
Mhm.
sales. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's really fun. I think when we can learn to really embrace that, I'm like, yeah, I agree. Like, I want to
Yeah.
go out and learn to cold call. That's great fun.
Yeah. Yes.
And the challenge is, like you say, when you sort of meet yourself in the
Mm-hmm.
mirror, it's
Yeah.
good. It's actually a
It
really good
really
thing.
is.
And
Yeah.
when we can be honest first here, then it's
Mhm.
really easy to be honest in every area. And people say, well, I am honest. I'm like, are you? Are you really? Like, I'm not
Yeah.
talking to
Yeah.
me. Like, it doesn't really matter if you're lying to me, but are you
Yes.
really being honest here? Because when you get
Yes.
honest here, it's a whole different ballgame.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
the world
Yes.
just, it's stunning when you get
It's
the other.
liberating because
Yeah.
I always teach, you have to know your core principles, and from them, everything else should emanate. And
Mm.
you should, once you know them, you should filter everything through them. And so it comes out authentic. It comes out real because you know who you are. That awareness is a vital component just of living life successfully and being all that you can be. I'm amazed that so many people who they spend a lot of their time focusing on others,
Mhm.
what others are doing, what other strengths are, what others' weaknesses are. But you can't do that and do it to yourself as well. If you do that, it's going to be at the neglect of personal evaluation. But personal evaluation is the most important because once you get yourself together, then you can help others. As a part of that program with the parents that we teach, it's called the Nurturing Parenting Program. And one of the pillars of it we teach is nurturing self.
Mm.
And if you don't nurture yourself, then you can't nurture your child.
Sure.
And in my personal coaching, I always call it reproduction and production. And I say you can only reproduce what's already produced in you.
Mhm.
In essence, in order to give love, you must first have love. In order to give joy, you must first have joy. And if you needed $10 and I only have five, I can't give you 10 because I only have five. You can't give what you don't have. And that's what it's all about. Developing those things within you. Like you said, okay, if I have integrity within, if I have truth within, if I have authenticity within, guess what's going to emanate out? The truth, the honesty, the integrity, the authenticity.
Yeah.
But it's all about putting it in first. Your input determines your output. But yes.
I
Yes.
feel like you've spent a lot of time really thinking about these concepts, which I absolutely adore. It feels like
Yes.
there's a lot of, maybe when you were doing all the janitorial work, there may have been some time to really think about some of these
Yes.
things.
I'm telling you, you're talking about communing and just meditating and prayer and just,
Mhm.
like you say, having all of this information being downloaded
Mhm.
into me and just looking at life. But and you hit it right on the head. A lot of that took place during those times when
Mhm.
I'm alone at night in those different facilities, at my locations, at my sites.
Mhm.
That's what was going on. Like I said, all of that, those things, just the wheels turning, the inspiration coming, because I was still focused on the big picture,
Yep.
knowing that one day I was going to get to this place where I'm doing this more than we're using my dominant gift the most, as opposed to a secondary or acquired gift.
Mhm.
But yeah, you are so right. You hit it right on the head.
I love that you.
Yes,
Well, I
yeah,
understand the wilderness. I've gone through a few wildernesses, and
yes,
we don't grow when we're on the mountain. You go to the mountain, you stand there. Even when you're
yeah,
hiking, you stand there and you're like, take a picture and you leave. That's the
Yes.
mountain, right? And then you get there and you're standing up there thinking, I want to go there now. That looks even
Yes.
cooler. How do I get
Cooler.
there? But you
Yeah.
learn in the valley. You
In the
learn
valley.
when you're taking step after step after step that you don't really want to take anymore, right? There's duct tape on your
Mm-hmm.
heels because you got a few
Yeah.
extra bruises from the boots you were sure were good. You forgot your toothbrush, or
Yeah.
it's just
Rough. Yes.
that's, I think,
Yeah.
life. And
It
so,
is.
yeah, I can definitely tell that there's some wisdom because you spent quite a bit of quiet time
Yes, indeed.
with
Yes.
self and, higher
Yes.
power that was
Yes.
breathing those. I think we have to get quiet to
You
hear it.
do, you do. And I always say you have to schedule me time.
Yes.
You have to have that alone time because it's in those moments where you have the aha moments and the revelatory light bulb goes off and you get those answers to those problems and situations that seem so complicated. But the 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 current pace of our life and our lifestyles is like that rat race,
Hmm.
and that means our minds are just constantly running, constantly racing, and we don't get time to just woosah, just calm down, be at peace, and be alone, and be still. And because it's in those moments when the moment of clarity can come. But when you're just all preoccupied and just running here and there, you can't get that insight that you need. But I always encourage people, try to schedule each day, just if it's 10 minutes. Start there, but be consistent, and you'll see the difference it makes, especially if you do it like before you start your day to kind of get everything prioritized and focused and in alignment, kind of seeing how your day is going to go, planning it out, mapping it out, getting that visual, and then going in that direction. But when we don't take that time, life is so chaotic, it's frustrating, it's overwhelming, and it's hard to get answers because you're just always in the midst of the battle, always in the midst of the fire. But when you kind of remove yourself and get that alone time, it makes a huge difference.
Huge
Yeah.
difference. My dad calls it the tyranny of the urgent, and how that
Gotcha.
started to come over. And
Yes.
some of us really enjoy, the challenge of the urgent and being,
Yes.
everything to all people and swooping
Hmm.
in. And I mean, that's its own challenge, right? To acknowledge,
Yes.
what am I getting from this?
Hmm.
And I remember when he shared that with me for the first time, I thought, that's right, right? You need to
Yeah.
create some space for the urgent that's going to pop in today. But
Hmm.
creating that time in the morning for sure. At least that's for me, which means
Yes.
getting up earlier and earlier just to find
Yes.
some quiet time. But the
Hmm.
impact that has on the day when you're like, no, today I own the day, and
Yes.
there's space for what might go wrong, and you can sort of often anticipate what might come, which is also cool.
Oh yes. And then like you say, what happens too, your mind state is at a better place and your emotional state. Even when the unpredictable things happen, you're
Mhm.
you're able to respond and handle it better because of where you are. You're elevated and you're
Yep.
walking in a place of joy and peace. So when that stuff comes, you're able to withstand it. But when
Yep.
you wake up and you don't have that time, I can tell when I hadn't had my quiet time. I tell you who else can tell, my wife.
Right. Everybody can tell you like,
Woo!
hang on,
Yeah,
I need to reset here. Let
yeah,
me go
yeah.
this
Hit
out.
that reset button. This day here, oh, it's off. you know. Yeah,
Yep, so true.
yeah,
It's yeah, it has a huge impact. Now, I shared with you that I usually open up space for my guests to share something at the end for my listeners. And I want to open that up to you right now to share
okay.
that. Something that's on your mind and heart. Although there was quite a few nuggets in here,
Like,
like I'm going to go back and listen to and be like, this is good.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, definitely. I just want to share that whatever you're envisioning, whatever you're desiring, just begin to take steps in that direction. Well, plan first. I always say plan, then execute, and then make adjustments.
Hmm.
But, having that vision is one thing, but pursuing it is another. It makes life worthwhile to go after that. Anybody can just kind of live life wandering about aimlessly and just allowing life to dictate to you what to do. And I always tell people we're either living in one of three phases, and sometimes we navigate and we fluctuate between the three.
Hmm.
But in most cases, we'll see a predominance in one area. Either we're inactive, not doing anything,
Yeah.
reactive, meaning we're responding to the situation, we're allowing it to dictate to us what to do, then we're responding, or we're proactive. And this is we're getting out in front, like you said, we're mapping that day out. We're
Mhm.
seeing it and we're going in that direction. And depending on the situation, sometimes we have to navigate from each to, from one to another. Sometimes you need to be inactive while you're waiting, while you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to be reactive. You have to allow the situation to form first and then react.
Mhm.
But my mind frame is to try to encourage people to try your best to become more proactive.
Yeah.
Take the bulls by the horn, plot your own course, navigate your
Yes.
own path. And once you do that, your life, when I talk about unlimited possibilities and things just opening up for you, all of those things take place when you begin to take and write your own narrative, as I always state. But yes, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
I love that because I know that my life took on a very different energy when I decided that I was going to take responsibility for everything in my life, like
Yes.
absolutely everything. It
Hmm.
didn't matter what it was, or, no more blame game, just I'm responsible for how I contributed to this particular spot that we're in right now. And when I
Yes.
did that, I felt like the world opened up in terms of solution. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, this, then that, right? Like they often say, the wound isn't your fault, but the
Yes.
healing
Healing
is.
is yours.
And
Yeah.
I think that that has been so crucial to, people say, well, how did you get here? And I say, well, that's an interesting story. However, I looked for the windows that were open. I looked
Hmm.
for a door. And if I realized that was
Yes.
absolutely a wall, maybe I had to turn around and go the other way so I could figure out
Yes.
what I was missing. And I think
Hmm.
that that's been a very much a theme through
Right.
here today. So thank you so much for holding space with me
Yes.
today. This was awesome.
Yeah, likewise. I really enjoyed myself. I'm so grateful for the connection. Like I said, we appreciate our connector there, but
Yeah.
it's truly been a blessing and
Yeah,
wonderful just sharing with you, having a great conversation. So,
that's
yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
And of course, for my listeners, I'll always make sure that anything we mentioned in terms of books or courses
Yes.
or things that you can have access to, they will be either in the chat box below or they'll be
Okay.
flashing across the screen. I'm never sure how I'm going to put them up there, but there'll
Okay.
always be an easy way for you to access them and
Yes.
to connect, of course, with my guest and make sure that you have a chance to chat with him one on one if that's something that's been laid on your heart. And
Yes.
again, thank you so much for holding space with me and to everybody else. If you got value from today, the best way that you can show us that is to like, love, share, comment, subscribe. I keep on saying it every single, episode we do, but it is the air high five that you give us as content creators that what we're doing is what you want to be hearing from. And of course, as always, the lines are open for us to communicate back and forth. I love that. And for the rest of you, thank you so much. And I'll catch you on the flip side.